Look, I get it. You've had thoughts about making a move to Chicago, but you're scared of the stories that you keep hearing about the snow, and the winter, but you can't get your mind off the architecture, the culture, and everything else here when it comes to living in the city of Chicago. So in today's video, I'm giving you guys the pros and cons of what it's like living here in the city of Chicago from practically someone that's lived here their whole life in the Chicagoland area. And we're getting after it right now. Welcome back and welcome to the channel. My name is Brandon and I make videos just like this. So if you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you have thoughts about making a move here to the Chicagoland area, whether it be next week or next year, reach out because my team and I would be absolutely honored to serve you. Call, text, shoot me an email, info down below in the description. But just like any town, there's gonna be a handful of things that you might not like about where you live, but there's gonna be a ton of things that you absolutely love. And the city of Chicago fits that bill. The first pro I want to talk about is summertime shy, and it's practically between the months of May to about the end of August, and it's pretty much the period of time where the city of Chicago really shows out and shows you why it's the best city in the world. From the Riverwalk to the concerts to the beer gardens and everything else between it, even those rooftop decks, there's so much love to have here and so many things to do when it comes to summertime shy. And it's pretty crazy here when it comes to living in Chicago is that literally once it gets warm, every single person wants to be outside. And not even when it comes to May, like even in April, people want to start getting outside when it gets warm. But summertime shy is truly when it shines. And we're not blessed like it is in Florida where you have summer all year round. Here in the city of Chicago, we have all 4 seasons, so it makes you even more grateful to have that summertime shy when we have those, periods of times where we don't get it during the winter time. Seriously, if you're here in the summer and you're checking out the city of Chicago, you'll really feel the energy here, and it's something that you gotta take advantage of. Of course, with me talking about summertime shy, I gotta talk about my first con, and it's the winter here in the city of Chicago because it does get brutally cold. So they don't call the city of Chicago the Windy City for nothing. It can be 20 degrees here in the city of Chicago, and it might feel like 0 because of the wind chill here. It's actually pretty crazy because you have the lakefront, so if you're in the city of Chicago and you're out and about, you can definitely feel that wind hitting your face, and 20, 30 degree weather can feel much colder than that. Winters can feel pretty long here, but like I said, with winters, it makes you feel really grateful for the spring, summer, and fall that we have here in the city of Chicago. Just because it's cold doesn't mean there's no things to do. You can go to Lincoln Park to see the lights, you can go to museums, you can go ice skating at Millennium Park, and there's a lot of different activities from what you're looking for in the winter in the city of Chicago. So just because it's winter and you're wrapped up and wearing more layers than usual, there's a lot of things to do here in the city of Chicago still. But wait, before I go on with the video, like I said, if you haven't hit that subscribe button or leave a like yet, if you can please do so because it truly tells YouTube I'm doing a good job in making this video kind of thing. Next pro I want to talk about is the diverse food scene here in the city of Chicago. And if you've watched any of my YouTube videos before, you know that I rave about going out to eat all the time and me being a huge foodie. It's pretty nuts because I talk about it way too much. But if you want good Mexican food, we got it. If you want good Indian food, we got it. And if you want good Italian food, we got that too. And we have kind of every single genre and every single type of food that you want here when it comes to living in the city of Chicago. We have something called Chicago Restaurant Week that comes around every year, and it gives you a chance to try some of the top restaurants in the city of Chicago and even in the surrounding suburbs for, kind of at a fraction of the price. And this gives you a really good opportunity to kind of try all those different things. But my personal favorites is just kind of trying out the different foods in the city of Chicago, because if you keep in mind, the Chicago food scene is super tough here. So if any restaurant or small business, a place to grab a bite to eat wants to survive, the food has to be pretty good. Next con I want to talk about is the parking in the city of Chicago. Parking can be pretty brutal, especially when you get to certain parts of the city where there's a lot of things going on, a lot of people walking around, a lot of tourists, and kind of everything like that. You should probably factor in about 15 to 20 minutes if you are one of those people with the luxury of, driving a car around the city, just to make sure you can find some proper parking. And the parking garages in the city of Chicago are pretty pricey, honestly. Like the first hour is typically not bad, but if you're parking your car somewhere, it's pretty expensive, especially if you're leaving the car there for, periods of time. And if you're parking on the street and you have a parking spot and you don't replenish your parking spot in time, there's a good chance that you're going to get a parking ticket down there. But personally, what I do, and this is a hack if you are, relocating to the city of Chicago, is just download the app called Spot Hero. You can find parking spots pretty easy, but typically, the best thing to do if you are living in the city of Chicago is just utilize the public transportation. And a lot of the neighborhoods here, because there's a ton of neighborhoods in the city of Chicago, is that a lot of them are walkable. And the next pro I want to talk about is Lake Michigan. And no, it is not an ocean or anything like that. So sorry for you people that are relocating from the city or the state of Florida or the state of California or just any coast at all, that Lake Michigan is not a true ocean. Sometimes it does feel like an ocean because it's a huge, absolutely huge body of water. And it's something, kind of like a prized jewel of the state of Chicago, is that especially in the summers, the springs, and the fall, and people are always just walking around, hanging out at the beach. Because we have a few beaches over here. They're walking around, the paths and everything like that. And if you live in one of those high-rise condos and everything like that, also is that you'll have tremendous views of Lake Michigan, and it's truly, one of those things that everyone always comes here, and especially, like I said, tying this back into summertime shy, is that people are always, exercising, walking, running, riding their bikes, and just hanging out with friends and having a good time, and enjoying the beach as well when it comes to Lake Michigan here in the city of Chicago. And next is traffic. I have to talk about it, and it kind of ties into parking as well, but it feels like some of the stuff that they've been working on in the streets has been going on since I've been born, and it's been quite a while now. And wherever you're traveling within the city or trying to get into the city, you're probably going to hit traffic, truthfully, literally at all times of the day. Honestly, it's pretty bad, but if you guys have watched my videos before, you guys know that I've lived in California, in the LA area before, and traffic there is much worse. But like I said, in my opinion, when it comes to the traffic, the parking in the city of Chicago, it's best to, in my opinion, take public transportation because it's much more on the affordable end. But if you need to drive to the city and take the traffic, like I said, I go to a lot of sporting events and stuff like that, so I always try to calculate that time. And for me, it's better for me to kind of get to the city earlier from when my event starts, because I can just enjoy the city that much more. But really timing out your commute to the city or driving around the city and everything like that, just factor in the traffic as well. And with that being said, it's like I said before, going to sporting events is that one of the big pros, and just kind of my favorite pro in my opinion, is the sports scene here in the city of Chicago. Chicago sports has tremendous history, from Sosa to Ditka to Rose and to the GOAT, greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. We have so much history when it comes to Chicago sports here. As the one topic that I talk about a ton besides food on this channel. I haven't experienced baseball either until you have been to Wrigley Field. I'm not even a huge baseball fan, but I absolutely love going to, Wrigley Field to kind of catch a game because of the environment and the atmosphere. And right just outside Wrigley Field is Wrigleyville. So you'll see a lot of people, a lot of tourists, a lot of, Chicago sports fans just hanging out there, enjoying the bars, grabbing food, and everything else in between. One of my favorite things that I've personally done is actually take my dad to one seat behind courtside to a Chicago Bulls game where we were down playing the Boston Celtics, but we eventually caught up and won that game pretty large. But Chicago sports is huge, and if you want to talk about Chicago sports, I'd absolutely love to chat with you and just go back and forth and let you know why I think Derrick Rose would have been the best point guard of all time if he never got hurt. And one of the most infamous things I got to talk about is the taxes here in the city of Chicago. That's a huge con that kind of everyone talks about, and what gets a lot of people leaving the city of Chicago, because here in Cook County, where Chicago belongs to, property taxes can get pretty high. And I talked to my uncle, and he always tells me that Chicago is a great place to have a career because there's a lot of opportunities and stuff like that, but the taxes are pretty high, so you might want to relocate either to the suburbs or to out of state. But that's something I just got to touch on, nothing to hide. Unfortunately, we have to pay taxes, and we can't avoid that because Uncle Sam will get after us. But there's many pros and there's many cons. Well, really not that many cons in my opinion, because a lot of the pros outweighs the cons when it comes to living here in the city of Chicago. So have you been here to Chicago, and are there any pros or any cons that I've missed? Drop them down in the comments below and let me know what kind of your pros are when it comes to living here in the city of Chicago. And if you have any thoughts, like I said, to making a move here in the Chicagoland area, whether it be next week or next year, reach out, because my team and I, we absolutely honored to serve you. We help a ton of families every single year. Call, text, shoot me an email. My information is down below in the description. And if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more content just like this, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment down below on what video you want to see next. Watch one of these videos up here, and I will see you guys on the next video.